Going live. Oh, I need to switch the camera. Switch. There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Honey, something happened to yours.
Oh, she's upstairs here. No, I'm right here. Oh, what's your password?
Okay.
Your left click.
Oh, why, hello everybody. We're a little
Ross said hi.
Ross,
Galloway.
Yeah.
Gasaway.
Or Gasaway.
Is that you, Ross, on the other side?
Hey,
Are you over there? Can't quite reach you, but I can smell you. We're live.
You're live on both.
Sweet. Let's go over here and sit down. Who's that from?
The antenna.
Squirrel.
I'm tired. Bringing it close. You get to sit here too.
Oh,
babe.
I will sit.
So today is a big day. It's live launch day of The Great Pursuit. I don't know what you want to know, but there's so much to talk about when it comes to The Great Pursuit. All I can say is what you're about to watch is our toughest season to date. And it wasn't because the overlanding was super hard or whatever. It's just because there was a lot of stuff going on in the background with business, with friends, with, I don't know, just life. Just life, you know? And things are good. It's okay. Everything's great. But man, it is a big deal to be here today to get episode 1 launched of The Great Pursuit. Since you guys all tuned in early, I'm going to give you a little background story to what you're about to watch. For one, this year when we talked to all our sponsors, we said we're going to do a 3-part series for Overlander, and then we're going to do a 6-part series where we go from Canada down into Mexico and across the United States, and give it its justice on traveling it the way we did in Alaska and Yukon, Central America and South America. We just hadn't really been able to go and give it the justice that it deserved. So I don't want to get into too much of the story because I want you to see it, but basically we shot those first 3 Overlanders and they turned out so good that back in May, and it turned out so good that we were like, as we started to shoot and edit other shows for the 6-part series, it completely changed our perspective of what we'd filmed, because we're like, this is all the same story. We can't really separate these 2 things, because if we did, it would essentially be like telling one story and then having to recap it and tell it again. And as we've kind of just lived our lives this summer from fall, starting all the way back really in January of last year, of this year, to right now, it's just one big continuous story that we've been living. And so we decided to call up all of our sponsors and say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're doing this instead. We're going to pull these 3 episodes into the bigger picture. And that's how episode 1 tonight came to be. It's chapter 1. I really wanted to name and label all of these episodes as chapters because I felt like that they were chapters.
They for sure were.
Yeah. It's kind of like chunks of time and projects that we were working on. So did you end up labeling it chapters, or do we have to do episodes?
I think I have an episode now, but I can
Yeah, there's a reason. Well, there's YouTube reasons and Instagram reasons and all that stuff for labeling things as episodes versus chapters. But if I had it my way, it'd be chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So when you watch it, just think of Mexico as chapter 1.
Mexico, chapter 1.
The U.S., chapter 2.
What, can you say part 1, chapter 1, 2, 3, part 2, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4? Anyway, see how it gets confusing really fast. But yeah, so a lot happened this year. It's been a huge year, and a lot to be thankful for. Super thankful for the team that we've had this year, the people that stood by us, the people that helped us out. And I mean, you'll see at the end, you'll see a list of people on credits, and every single one of those people had a major impact into how this year turned out, and the support either from sponsors, and like I've said many times, when you see sponsorships, yeah, you might see a General Tire, but behind General Tire is a Travis, is a Tony, a Corey. Behind, you know, Patriot Campers is Justin and Sarah Monteselvo. It is individuals who work for companies that can support what we get to do here, and on the same token, it's because of you guys too that we get to do this, and that's where it started first. So anyway, they all said that was okay to.
They're amazing.
Put all this together. They said, yeah, we just believe in your vision, what you want. And so that's what we did. So we went back to the drawing board. We had created all these maps, all these different things. And we realized, oh man, now that we've incorporated it into the Great Pursuit series, everything has to get stepped up to the next level, because Overlander is at one level, and then our Overland Expeditions production value is at another, especially in the post-production process. So we had to go back, we had to fix a bunch of stuff, we had to gut those things and start over. And that's what you're gonna get to watch tonight for episode 1.
Yeah, because our intention with Overlander is it's more education, and we had new team members on that were learning how to film, and all of those things where Expedition Overland seasons are filmed very cinematic. And so all of a sudden then we had to figure out how to cut Overlander to fit into that big picture. So you're gonna see, it'll just get better and better as the season ramps on, as usually our seasons do, because that's just with anything in life.
Yep.
So
you see a lot of new camera guys coming in this year, learning how to film and produce shows for XO, and that's really cool to see the progress. By the time that we were done shooting South America, we had crews that had been a part of XO for a long, long time. And then this year we kind of started over again, because other crews, some of them are right here. Eric Olson's right here behind the camera, and he had gone back to work in the oil fields, and so we just had changeover, and so we had to kind of not reinvent the wheel. We just had to go back to basics and be like, okay, this is how we film stories. This is what's important. This is where you need to stand. This is what you need to capture. Start wide, move yourself in, go back out, keep the camera still as much as possible, all that stuff. No, this is how you move. We only move left to right with the lens, all that. There's a lot of things that get, I don't know, just dropped in the lap of new people, and it's a big job for a new person.
We throw them into the deep end the first day.
So, like you'll see here, you'll be introduced to Brian and Megan Walthall in this series. And when we got to Mexico, I literally handed Megan a camera. And here's some more inside. We say that we've been friends with the Walthalls for a long time. We have, college. I've known Brian since 1990, or probably 2002 or 3, and Megan at the same time. And hey, Si, it's okay. And Megan and I worked in film school together, and I shot on some project of hers or something like that. I forget. Way back when.
But with Eric.
And with Eric behind the camera.
Yeah.
And we're talking like this is 2000.
It's like 2002 or 3. We were married in 2004, so.
Yeah, it was 2, 3, 4.
I'm not gonna do the math.
In there. We're old now. So, and that's when Eric Olson and I got to know each other. Actually, Eric Olson and I went to high school together, but we didn't really get to know each other until his mom brought him over.
You're the lead, yeah.
Yeah. We're having this party, and his mom was like, hey, this is Eric, you should hang out together. And then we went over and we worked on a project that night.
It's true.
And then it's been ever since. Thanks, Sherry.
The rest is history.
The rest is history.
Moms know best, right?
And then he married my best friend.
And then he married Nikki, which is Michelle's best friend. So that's how this whole thing works,
So
right?
anyway, where are you going with that? Where are we at?
have no
What time
idea.
is it? Okay, so it's gonna be a good season. You're gonna see lots of awesome new people. Some you were introduced to last year. Richard Giordano, Ashley gets to come along this season. They've been so fun to travel with and get to know.
Yep.
So they'll be with us.
If you don't know who Richard and Ashley are, go check them out. They run Desk to Glory, and they've been in the Overland world for a long, long time too. The first time I met Richard and Ashley was at a Northwest Overland rally, and I was giving a talk on cinematography or something, and I remember Richard got up and talked after me, and he pointed out to me, he's like, hey, I know you, I've seen you on TV. That's the first time I met Richard, and we've been just getting to know each other ever since. Been good buddies. He is a phenomenal photographer.
Yes, he is.
He's been doing all of our social media this year, and he's just done a killer job.
Yep.
So we're really privileged and honored to have those guys on our team. Let's see what else. There's so many places where you can go and talk.
You want to do Garmin?
Oh yeah, we do have the Garmin. So tonight we have a Garmin giveaway, the Overlander. If you guys aren't familiar, Garmin launched a new product this year. It's called the Overlander, and we've been running. We really got up to speed on this last part of the trip, and we've been running this pretty much all season. So check these out. But we're doing a giveaway. It's closed now, and we have
It
the
was all
number.
last week. Yes.
Okay.
So the winner.
So do we know the winner?
Yes.
You do know the winner. Okay.
Drum roll. Can you do it?
And you don't get this one with Tanner's greasy mitts all over it. You get a brand new one.
In a
Sent
box.
In a
It'll be really
box
pretty.
with all the stuff.
We personally will ship it to you.
Yes.
So thank you,
Awesome.
Garmin, for that.
Mhm.
So Kyle Todd is the winner from Alaska.
All right on.
And
Kyle, congratulations.
Congratulations.
It's a really cool piece of kit.
you will get a fun little package from us in the mail. So Nikki will message you and we'll get your details and we'll get that coming to you. So thank you guys. Stay tuned. We actually have one more of these to give away and the ultimate Overlander giveaway, hopefully coming in January. So stay tuned. We've got lots of fun stuff
We're
happening.
working on that one right now too.
Yes.
Right on.
Do you want to do questions?
Yeah, let's take questions.
Do you want to open it up to questions? Any questions?
Got a lot of congrats to Kyla right now.
All right on. Go, Kyle.
Nice. Go, Kyle.
I don't know how
You
long
guys
it
are
takes
awesome.
to get to Alaska.
Yeah. I mean, I know
We
how long it
won't
takes to drive
ship
there.
it by the boat.
No.
It'll take forever.
We'll try to get that to you soon. Awesome.
I know one question we get a lot. Are we sponsored by Jeep? And we are not sponsored by Jeep
No.
or Fiat Chrysler or Ram this year, just so you know. Just so you know.
Or affiliated in any way.
Or affiliated in any way, just so you know. Just to make that clear. What's the next question?
I've got one. Where's the next adventure?
Oh man, guys.
Man, God.
We just
I
finished.
just literally got back.
We're not even finished editing this one yet.
It's making me sweat.
Well, okay, we've thrown
Shh.
No. Okay, you don't get
Can't tell them where.
Well, I could give them an
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It'll be on Earth. Because
Maybe besides like maybe.
Besides maybe.
He knows his parents very well.
Nikki. I don't want to say anything right now because judging how this year went,
Oh,
I cannot tell you how many different plans we had. I think we had 6 different official plans.
yeah.
And this poor team here and our sponsors went through the ringer on what we were doing. But I'll tell you why. We're reaching to do big things.
Yeah.
And as we're trying to tackle big things, stuff happens. Stuff gets in the way. Finances, cost, time, I don't know, just weather. Where we are in the world and where we are in our financial cycle with sponsors and all this stuff. Like if we end up going into the southern hemisphere, we like to do that in the summer down there, which means we have to do that in the winter up here. And like there's a bunch of stuff that gets thrown in. So yeah, we've had 6 major iterations of what this trip looked like, and then as you get into this season, you'll see even more iterations that change, and the reasons why, things that outside of our control. So to give you a destination where we're going next is nearly impossible. We only have targets right now.
And I want to talk about that for a second because we didn't touch on that. I'm conscious of time. When we ended Overlander last year, we didn't know what this year would look like. So Clay and I spent a lot of time having a lot of, that's a spider on my hat, a lot of conversations about just what do we want to do? What does our family want to do? What are our dreams that we haven't checked off our list yet that we love to push ourselves to? And that's where you've wanted to fly for years.
That's where flight came in.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just iterate. We'll just start touching on that a little bit.
Yeah.
What is Expedition Overland? Expedition Overland to us is an adventure travel series. We do love overlanding. We've been doing it now for almost a decade. Going into this year is this coming year is 10 years of Expedition Overland. And the sole purpose of us starting Expedition Overland was to live a life of adventure. So to inspire people through hopefully what we were able to go and achieve is just Joe Blows. We're just everyday people. And that's where we want it to stay. I think the worst thing that could happen to Expedition Overland is that it gets put in a box, and that we need to always be on 4 wheels, traveling somewhere, talking about this or that, and it just gets into this repetitive cycle. That's not interesting to me. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to get to the end of my life and say, yeah, I punched out X amount of seasons doing the same old thing. No, I want to get to the end of my life and say, we had this platform called Expedition Overland, and look at where it took us and where it could take us, and maybe the next generation of my family, my boys or friends or wherever, look at where it took them to. And having the freedom to just explore an adventurous lifestyle, and that is how flight came into being this year. I guarantee you that in 1 hour, there's going to be a whole lot of hate on flight. And I don't care. Because I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me and us. And living an adventurous lifestyle for you is what you should be doing. So that's what I'm going to do. And if you don't like it, that's okay. That's fine. That's my speech.
Speaking of adventure, I've gotten quite a few comments about Greenland. Can you give
More Greenland?
any more updates on
Talk
that?
about Greenland. Okay.
What is
No.
happening?
Okay, Greenland. This is an ongoing thing every day.
No matter how many
Tell
times-
your friends this answer. Greenland was produced into a movie. We got home here and we started cutting it. This is just over a year ago. And we're like, this can't just be what we've always done with the footage. This needs to be something more. So we got it into a rough cut. We brought in Greg Miller, who is in charge and owns Expedition 7. We said, Greg, what do you think? Would you like to make a movie out of this? And he said, yeah. So then we went into making a full-on movie for the next 9 months, pretty much January into August.
Yeah.
It was like full-blown shooting and cutting this movie. We brought people in from Iceland to re-interview. We all had to go down to Salt Lake, do that twice to get these interviews just right. And we made a movie out of it. So it has been submitted now to film festivals. I can't say which ones. Hopefully we get into some, and one in particular, but we don't find out, I don't think, until mid-December. So that is where Greenland is. Greenland went to a much bigger project. And frankly, it was a dream come true to be able to do that, because I've always wanted to cut a feature film. I've always wanted to make movies. And that, Greg coming in and saying yes to that supplied me with the ability to make a movie. And it's really good. I can't wait for you to see it. Whenever that is, I don't know, but that's where it is.
Yeah. So you don't get to see it until we know if it's been accepted, and then a lot of these festivals want exclusivity for the premiere.
Yeah.
Then we can
And then depending on its distribution and what Greg decides to do with it, if it goes to Amazon, if it goes to a Netflix, he could do whatever he wants with it. It is his movie, but we will support it anywhere it goes. Yeah. And the idea is that it gets out there and inspires as many people as possible.
It'll be worth the wait, I promise.
So that's what happened to Greenland. Phew.
How many hours of filming does it take to produce one episode of XO?
How many hours of
We
filming
should
does
ask
it
our
take
editors.
to produce
You guys
one?
need to see our editing team because they.
Yeah, there's two of the main editors right there.
And John. Come here,
John's
John.
up there. John's hiding.
John's hiding. Say hi. Say hi.
I just have editors and I was like, oh.
What's the question? How many hours?
How many hours of footage does it take for one episode?
Hours of footage?
Right? Was that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's that high.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, if you count every GoPro they have growing, and they do what, 2, 3 primary cameras? See, like A7R, 2 FS5s,
Two drones. All the mic recordings of all the in-cab mics, which is new this year. I don't know. A lot.
whatever it is.
But as much as possible, but as little as necessary. Is the answer. We shoot an episode on average every 3.5 days. And we try to deliver and shoot at least 10 usable minutes of content per day. And out of that 10 minutes of usable content, there's probably, throw away like the GoPro stuff and all that, because that's just like hit it and roll. Actually shot, produced is probably around 1 hour of footage to 1 minute of content.
I'd say that's about right.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, and it's like 5 minutes to 1 minute.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So thank these guys. They've been
They're still cranking.
cranking and still are. We'll be cranking until Christmas. Well, before Christmas. Before Christmas.
Yeah.
And to bring you guys Expedition Overland.
Yeah.
The Great Pursuit. And the Provens. And in the shops. We shot in the shop yesterday. Tanner
not
behind this
sponsored.
lens has been cutting on that today. So we have on average 7 staff working here every day. And right now there's 4 edit days that are going as just smoking. Just smoke coming out of the computers every day. So yeah, what else?
Other questions?
More questions?
What are your preferences for a personal vehicle, the ATX or the X3?
Oh, tire
Tires?
Tires, yes,
Great
tires.
question. Personal preference of an X3 or ATX, which is ATX is the all-terrain, and the X3 is like the mud terrain equivalent. The general daily driver is always going to be the ATX. That ATX tire is a phenomenal tire. It is super good in the snow, and living here in Montana, I can attest to it. It's nearly as good as a snow tire, in my opinion.
I just had it on the Lexus too. The
Yep.
Rally.
She just did the rally on it. No failures. It's just really good tire. That's the general tire. If you're looking to go more extreme, or you want the most robust, bomb-proof tire, and you're not going to be in snowy conditions, is my only caveat there. The X3 is like hands down the choice. So you'll see in the first 7 episodes that we're running a mix of ATX and X3 tires. Some vehicles are running this and some are running that. And you can kind of decide for yourself which ones and those circumstances that you would run. Typically an all-terrain is going to run better in sand. However, when we go to the Altar Desert, we decided to go with X3s. But we knew what we were going to put those tires through Utah, Arizona, and Mexico, that we were like, we just want the toughest tire because we're under a short period of time. We just want to be able to go and not worry about anything because that X3 is so bomber. And we went and conquered all that stuff without a single issue. So
I'd
it
say-
just really depends.
Yeah, I'd say for a daily driver, the ATX is great. And the great thing about these tires is they have really low road noise. They're very quiet. But like for me on my daily, I prefer the ATX.
Yep.
Depends
There.
on- Any other questions?
Kind of piggyback off of that, for
Yes.
beginner off-roaders / overlanders, what do you suggest that the first thing they do when modding up their vehicles?
First of all,
this is
thank you, Nikki, because she works her little hiney off behind the scenes a lot. Merchandise orders, everything behind the scenes. So cooking spaghetti
Yeah.
late at night to give the crew. Thank you. So, of course. What was the question?
first mod to an
Oh,
Overland.
yeah, first
First beginner mod to an Overland
Okay, you have
vehicle.
like 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute, go. First things, go on a trip without modifying your vehicle at all. Just go on a trip.
Yeah,
What?
you'll live.
Yeah, you'll
You'll
live,
be
it'll
okay.
be awesome. And then from there, I would say just having a really good tire, because it's where the rubber meets the road, and that is the #1 failure point typically in overland travel is a tire. So if you got like a street tire or something like that that came on your vehicle, and you're going to go do a bunch of dirt roads, look at upgrading your tire to something that's going to handle that. You have a peace of mind that you're going to be good to go. So yeah, tires is the first one. A lot of times we'll go +1 in size, get a little bit more clearance. But yeah, start there and just start traveling the world. Yeah, and then from there we usually go suspension and or a refrigerator and or an air compressor. That would take lots of explaining on why those are. But that's what I'd say. So,
Okay.
all right.
Did we do a premiere? Are we doing a premiere? Did we decide?
Y'all never decided,
Do you
so
want to switch it over to a premiere?
switch
Yeah.
to a premiere.
So we're gonna go over
Now
to
she's
the
gonna
premiere
switch
now.
us.
Yeah, could you do that right now before it starts?
Yep.
Thank you.
Expedition Overland's The Great Pursuit is now live
In like 1 minute.
in like 1 minute.
Okay, we'll see you there. Thank you guys.
See you on the other side. See ya.